Welcome to the Passionpreneur Podcast. This is your show where every week we teach you how to make a living doing what you love, how to get paid for what you know by building passion-driven revenue streams. I'm your host, Ryan C. Greene. You can follow me on all social media at Rod G Speaks. If you're an entrepreneur, a leader in your field, a dreamer who needs help putting it all together, or simply aspire to do more and be more than you've been, this is the show for you. If you haven't done so already, make sure you follow us and subscribe on the whatever podcast listener you're using right now so you can get updates on every single episode. We're on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, all the podcast players. We're out there. So follow us, leave a comment, and share the episode with your friends. Don't keep all this good information to yourself. So just for listening to today's show, I want to offer you an opportunity. If you're ready to get started in your journey to becoming a passionpreneur, I want you to have an opportunity to get a copy of the book, Becoming a Passionpreneur. That's right. There's an entire book that talks about the process and teaches you all the secrets and steps to take if you want to reignite your fire within and start getting paid for what you know and start building your own passion-driven revenue streams. You have a chance to go ahead and take advantage of that. Get your copy of the book at www.passionpreneurbook.com. Go to passionpreneurbook.com. You get your copy of the book there. Got some bonuses and everything for those who go to that site from listening to this show. So definitely take advantage of that. I want to thank you all for the support, all the reviews, all the kind words so far. So today's show, just as usual, we've got another awesome guest with us today who's going to share information and share some topics, share some insight rather on his journey. So I want to introduce a young man who is doing some phenomenal things in an industry that you don't see people jumping into every day. So we want to talk to him about that, but also about some other things that he has done and how he got to this point. So I want to introduce the owner, proprietor, mastermind behind a brand new bourbon on the market and an awesome podcast. Welcome Larue Livingston to the show. Larue, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, thank you for having me today. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for being on the show. I'm excited to talk to you, man, because, you're doing a lot of things. And the whole purpose of the Passionpreneur Podcast is all about teaching people, giving them stories from my guests that I bring on, letting them hear other people who have done it, other people who are living that dream, people who are out there pursuing their passions or have information to help people pursue their passions. And you are doing some phenomenal things. So I want to kind of, walk through your journey. And before we do all that, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, let them know who you are, and then we'll get into get some more questions.
All right, man. My name's Larue Livingston, resident of Charlotte, North Carolina, also known as Fresh, the producer and creator of the podcast. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Co-owner in Posh Beverage Company. We make Posh Premium Ale. We also make Majesty Bourbon. I grew up, I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Have a bachelor's in organizational management, and I just received my master's degree in supply chain management. Just trying to do some things out here, man. Just really working on a retirement plan. As I've told several other people before, man, realistically speaking, at my age, I've probably lived more life than what I have left. So I got to make what I have left count, leave something to my family, build some generational wealth that, the Black folks don't necessarily tend to do. And just trying to forge ahead in industries where we're not that prevalent. So that's kind of my quick story, if you will. That's the Cliff Notes version.
All right, awesome. That's enough to get us started. So let's talk. I mean, because you say you from Kentucky, then went to Tennessee, then now you're in North Carolina. So this whole bourbon thing kind of makes sense if you know anything about the industry. Right. So let's start. So before we get to the bourbon, though, I don't want to get ahead. Let's talk about how you got to this journey. What was it about? When did you start entrepreneurial ventures, and how did you end up where you are right now?
Well, man, I've always had an entrepreneurial type of spirit, man. I've owned several different types of businesses, man. I've also been a professional photographer for about 21 years. I did wedding photography for about 17 years. I had a mobile DJ business where I contracted out DJs and flooded the city with entertainment. So I've always looked for an avenue to try to make some money outside of, the regular 9 to 5. Also own a clothing line called Fresh Originals Apparel. You can check that out at freshoriginalsapparel.com. And, I've always wanted to generate income outside of whatever my usual avocation, would be at that particular time. Because, you can't necessarily, count on a 9 to 5 to sustain you, especially if you're not a highly compensated, individual. If you're just a regular guy like me, you have to look for other ways to try to secure your future and to try to make your ends, meet. So that's pretty much it as far as that goes, man.
Cool.
So, it's just always there. I have, I don't like stress. I mean, just to be totally transparent, I don't like stress. So, I'd rather take an idea or something that I like to do, because I've always liked music. I produce music. So, that's what got me into the DJ thing. And I draw and I create and things like that. And I love photography. So I turned that into a business. So it kind of goes along the lines of what you try to teach, the people that, that reach out to you for your expertise. It's like how to turn your passion into something that is going to generate you, some income outside of what you would normally do. As far as the alcohol industry goes, I mean, that's a whole other story in and of itself. And when you're ready to talk about that, I mean, we could talk about that as well. But that's pretty much how I got into it.
Now, you sound like someone who has plenty of talents. You have things that you love to do. And I know a lot of people find themselves in that same situation where there's things that they enjoy doing, and maybe they don't know which direction to go, or they want to do all things at one time. What was it, or how did you decide to juggle those things? How did you decide this is what I'm going to do now, or this is what I'm going to pursue, or maybe I got to put this one on the back burner? Because like I said, there's a lot of people who have plenty of talents, but to be able to actually go out there and do, I mean, you mentioned, 4 or 5, businesses you just rattled off, where we got people who won't even try one, so
right.
What was it about you that you did, how did you figure out which ones you wanted to do and when?
Well, you know how it is when you're taking on something, and if you see some results, it kind of gives you a little bit more confidence. It's kind of like, I don't know if you follow sports or not, but it's kind of like a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
If you got somebody on the court and, they see that ball go through the hoop, it doesn't matter what they've done previously. They just saw that last one go through the hoop. So it kind of gives you confidence to keep playing that particular game. And so, but you also have to realize that there is an end game as well. You can't have, what they call escalation of commitment. You can't keep throwing, good money after bad. You got to know, when it's time to hang up your sneakers too. So because all of us are, let me backtrack just a little bit, because all of us are kind of multifaceted. We got a lot of different things that we really like to do.
Right.
We got a lot of things that we wish that we could do, but, and I don't want to get too philosophical, but a lot of folks let too much grass grow up under their feet because they're scared to try to turn a passion into a business, or even just to start a business, whether they have the means to like license a name or franchise a name or do something like that. A lot of people just don't do it because of fear.
Right.
And I started doing my businesses because, I just got tired of being, just to be quite honest, I got tired of bullshitting around. Mm-hmm. I got tired of, I've wasted enough time to understand that, hey, look, the time that I'm given is a gift and I need to do something with it, and I'm able. And the worst case scenario is that I end up working a job. If that's the worst case scenario, then why would you not take a risk on yourself? That's just how I always looked at it. If the worst I'm going to end up is having to go clock in and make legitimate money, then why am I not out here trying to reach for the sky? And that's just how I look at it. That's how I've always looked at it.
I've never heard it verbalized that way, but I mean, that is such a positive way to look at it, and an empowering way to look at it is that, and I think that's the part that a lot of people who are, the 9 to 5 type, aren't the entrepreneurial type, don't necessarily get and understand when you are that entrepreneur, or I don't want to say fearless, but you manage your fear better. Like you'll go after, you can,
right.
You'll be afraid and still do it anyway. But when
right.
hey, my worst case scenario is I'll get a job like you,
Right.
It's like, what am I afraid of? Okay. But if this works, look at how different things will be. So,
exactly.
Yeah, that's really powerful, man. So,
and I'm curious enough just to see just to see where that's going to end up.
Right.
And that's what I hope that a lot of people get out of get out of your shows, and that hey, look, you have to look beyond what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You may be behind on every bill. You may be deficient in certain types of skills, or there may be a lot of things that you may consider negatives that you really can turn into positives if you just remove that barrier of fear.
Yep.
There is no law that says that you can't try 15 different businesses, and it may be number 15 that makes you a millionaire.
Yeah.
People need to get out of the construct of what society teaches us to be. Which, and don't get me wrong, man, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a job. I have a job still.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with having a job. But especially, with Black folks, man, we need to reach further than what is being, handed to us and taught to us, historically speaking, because this whole construct was built to keep us in a position of subjugation, if you will, whether it's legal or otherwise. So, there's opportunity for us to now break through those barriers, and we should be lining up in droves, trying to kick down every damn door that we can. Yeah. And that's kind of the spirit that I'm trying to build. I didn't always have it, but that's what I'm trying to build. That's what I'm trying to act upon now.
And if nothing else, if you feel like, hey, people are listening, like, I'm not the entrepreneur type, maybe you aren't, but someone who is, and you can do whatever you can to support that person and help promote what they're doing and see the rest of those people who are trying to go do those things win as well. So that's great. I won't get on that soapbox though, but I want to talk about, I want to talk about your,
that's like two other shows.
Right.
Two other shows.
So let's stay focused. I want to talk about your show though, because you have a awesome show that you do. It's I may be wrong. Is that maybe wrong? I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
Right. And
yeah.
You co-host that. Like you said earlier, you're fresh, and you have your co-host Reg. So what was it about that? Like, how did you decide to go with the podcast? And let's discuss, the whole idea and journey of building that brand that you're building with that.
Man, let me tell you, man, the podcast came about because just to be totally transparent, man, we wanted to build a system to promote other ventures. We were having a hard time, dealing with folks trying to get, certain ventures up, because, my partner Reg, he has a venture where, he covers, historically HBCU sports. It's called The Underdog.
Okay.
So, we were trying to figure out how we could further our ventures and be in total control of what the narrative is, but also, speak to some of the issues that were, in our community in regards to, structural racism, the institutional racism, the appropriation of Black culture, HBCUs, hip hop music, television, all types of things when it comes to Black culture and the Black experience. So, we said we have to do that, otherwise we don't do the show. So that's what we try to infuse with the show. And so we just said, hey, look, man, we're just going to do it. We're just going to do it. And, we started on episode 54 now. And, our mantra is being the cool culture and conscious of the community, which basically means, you're going to have fun, when you listen to it. We wild out a little bit. We're just, two regular guys, just trying to do a show. We want to be the conscious, which means that we're going to talk about issues that directly affect us. And we talk about culture all the time, whether it be, music, TV shows, comedians, and things like that. And we do this thing called the top 10, where we actually rank, things within the culture, 10 to 1. And the reason why we do it is because we want to spark debate. And we know that not everybody agrees on everything. Right. But if you're debating the culture, that means that you care about the culture. And if you care about the culture, that means that you're less apt to stand by while somebody appropriates it or uses it, to their advantage while it's a disadvantage to you. So those are the things that we wanted to try to do with the show, because you can't always hit people in the face with wokeness, if you will. You can't just hit people. You can't hit people in the face.
You're a sellout.
Right? Exactly. So you can't actually. You got to kind of backdoor people sometimes.
Right.
So So, that's what we try to do with our show, because we didn't want to do any clown stuff with it. I mean, we like to have fun and whatnot, but as men of a certain age, we feel like like, if you want to call us OGs, if you will, as OGs, we have a responsibility to not be clowns. And that way, if people see us acting accordingly, then perhaps they follow suit,
right,
and speak of the things that we try to speak about as well, but in their own way.
I tell you.
So that's how, I could be wrong, but I doubt it started.
I love the show.
We love doing that.
It's very well done. I love the show. I'm like, when I listen to people's podcasts and I listen to your show, and I know you guys always have the soundtrack playing in the background. You're talking, I'm like, man, that's dope. I like that. So
everything's on purpose, brother. I work real hard on producing that show, man, because we wanted it to be polished. Because you got to keep people's attention. As far as the quality. Never wanted it to sound like we were in a tin can somewhere, or just sitting around drinking and smoking or something like that. I mean, we wanted it to have purpose and sound like a polished type of show.
Right. Well,
so we appreciate you listening, man.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Now let's get to the liquor. Let's talk about Posh Posh Beverage Company. Talk to us about that, and then I know your new release of Majesty Bourbon just came out recently. So let's talk about Posh Beverage Company. Like, how'd you get involved with this? How long you been working on this? What can we look for?
Man, let me tell you, man. This is first of all, I wanted to correct something that you said early today, or early in the interview. I'm not the mastermind behind it.
Okay.
Okay. I am part of a team, which is Posh Beverage Company, and I'm gonna tell you the quick story. And it's funny how it works out, and I hope that a lot of people take this particular lesson. So I'm gonna make a long story short. It's a little longer than this, but I'm gonna make it as short as possible.
Okay. I
met two gentlemen that were working on a beverage in 2018. Okay, they were working on a cognac, and they brought it to market. Okay, we were going to do some things because I do have a certain level of expertise in marketing and whatnot, and I have the studio in my house where I could do voiceovers and edit video and produce music and so on and so forth. So we were talking about doing some things together to try to help further that particular brand. Hit it off really well. That venture didn't work out for either one of them. So when I met a young lady who was trying to bring another beverage to market, she asked me, like, what do you think you can do to try to help me with this? And I was like, I don't know anything about the freaking liquor industry, but I do know somebody who does. So I called up my current business partner, who we hadn't spoken in months. But I called him up and I said, hey, look, I got this young lady. She's trying to bring this vodka to market. Can you help her out? So, they spoke, and I'm not sure of what happened with that particular relationship, but her vodka is on the market. I'm not sure how much he helped with that. But he circled back to me and said, man, he's like, a lot of people wouldn't have even thought of that. They wouldn't have tried to, put me on to something to try to help somebody else, for my gain and for their gain as well. He was like, I knew you were a real dude when I met you or whatnot. He's like, this is what I'm trying to do, and I want to give you the opportunity to invest in it if you think, that we can do it. So he pitched the idea at that time of starting a Posh Beverage Company and releasing Posh Premium Ale, which is our peach ale.
Okay.
And this dude is a go-getter. So the minute he pitched it, I was like, man, I'm gonna send you a check. So that's how it started, and that's how I became part owner in the beverage company in and of itself. So we launched the beer, and beer was doing really well. I mean, it's still doing well. We're in like 40 locations throughout the Metro Atlanta area. And he called me one day. He was like, man, I think I want to try this alcohol again, because again, they had worked on the cognac before. And I was like, what you got in mind? He was like, I think I want to do a bourbon. And so that's how it started. So, it wasn't my idea to actually make the bourbon per se, but I have a vested interest, in the company. I mean, we're producing. I mean, everybody has this, their money, into it. So I am part owner of the brand, but I didn't do anything to say, hey, look, I'm going to make this bourbon. It was my business partner's, idea to be able to try that, and I just supported him wholeheartedly based on the results that he had achieved before.
Correct.
So that's how Majesty came about.
And I think that
I'm gonna tell you.
let me jump in real quick, because I don't want this to get lost. I think you make a good point there. Actually, I think this story is even better than you saying, hey, you went out there and did it your own, because people can hear that there's people who might want to be involved with a business and that they don't want to go out there and do all the work. But you're showing, like, hey, here's how you can invest in someone's business. Here's how you can still be a part of it and sharing someone else's vision by cutting a check or by doing some other kind of support and being partnership. So I don't want that to get lost in the audience, who's listening.
Right. And I was actually gonna get into that particular point too, because had I not had that previous experience, and my point was going to be, be careful about the relationships that you build and how you conduct yourselves within those relationships.
Absolutely.
Because after I gave him some information about an opportunity, he didn't have any obligation to come back to me at all. But the fact that we had built a favorable relationship and had built a mutual trust and admiration about what we were trying to do, before, he knew that he could automatically trust me. And that's something that a lot of people will miss. It's, they'll mess over people thinking that, thinking short term and not long term.
Right.
And so, our relationship that we had built prior to that, built a mutual respect to where he could come to me with that idea, and I trusted him. So I'm like, yeah, we can do this. So once we started actually, talking about the bourbon, then that's when things started kind of moving. We had to pick a distillery, the blend, and things of that nature. I'm heavily involved in the marketing. I design the labels, and much of the marketing stuff that you see out is stuff that I've generated, that I've designed, and or had designed, and things like that. So I'm not a silent partner, but I'm more of the marketing arm.
Right.
We have two other gentlemen that handle the operations and the finance of the business as well. So it's definitely a team effort, and everybody has a deep vested interest in the success of the brand.
And that's awesome, because also as you're growing any kind of business, it doesn't take long to realize that it's going to be hard to build anything big by yourself. And being able to get that team together and get those people who you can trust, those people who are competent, that's really important too.
Right.
Those who are competent, because you can go and find your buddies who all say, "Oh, that sounds good," but none of y'all know how to do anything. Or
exactly.
All of you have the same specialties, then that's not really going to help as well. So that's awesome. That's the direction. Now, tell us where people can get Majesty Bourbon.
Majesty Bourbon is available in 27 locations throughout the Atlanta metro area, also in parts of Savannah and Columbus, Georgia as well. We are actively working on a online distribution deal, so we can do e-commerce, which will immediately put us in about 15 to 16 different states. He'll make it available in 15 to 16 different states. We feel like that being digital is going to help grow the brand, relatively quickly, than having, people on the ground pushing it from store to store to store. However, since it's a Georgia-based bourbon made in Georgia, we wanted to, go hand to hand, door to door, to every outlet possible within the state of Georgia, because it is a hometown product.
Right.
And we wanted to be sure that it was available at as many locations as it possibly could be, right off the bat, because it just launched on February the 17th.
Wow.
So to be in 27 locations in under 2 weeks is a pretty good accomplishment.
That's phenomenal.
And we're looking to expand even more within the next couple of weeks. So.
Correct. Now, is this and I don't know if this is trade secrets or not, but like, what goes into making a bourbon? Is this something that you guys have been growing in the basement for 3 or 4 years to get to this point? I'm not a big alcohol drinker, so I don't know a whole lot, but I know isn't bourbon something you can't just go and cook up and put it in the shelf the next day?
Yeah, most small companies will source a bourbon.
Okay.
But the difference, which is what we've done, but the difference is that we have a special blend of bourbons that are all straight bourbons, which is at least 2 years or more.
Okay.
A lot of the source bourbon, it's kind of like a dirty little secret that's in the bourbon industry. A lot of craft bourbons that hit the market, they're sourced, they're under a year old, and they're sourced from places in the Midwest, and it enables people to get to the market very, very quickly without a lot of overhead or a lot of barriers to to entry, to the actual industry. We wanted to do things a little bit different and take our time and get a blend that was indicative of the work that was put in within the state that our company is located in. So we work with the distillery very closely to come up with the perfect blend. It's 30 months old, it's 2.5 years old. It is a straight bourbon, and it is absolutely delicious. And with you, if you don't drink bourbon, you're not gonna know what to look for to say, oh yeah, this is good or not. But it pairs well with a lot of different things. It makes great cocktails. It's great for when you're smoking cigars and things of that nature. I mean, it is a very very mature taste. 80 proof, which is 40% alcohol by volume, of course. Mm-hmm. Has notes of vanilla and tea and oak and caramel for sweetness too. So it's really good, man. We've had nothing but positive feedback thus far, and we're looking forward to expanding even further.
So you sound like a professional. Look at him. You know what he's talking about, y'all. He's like notes of sweetness and vanilla and That's good stuff.
But I mean, it's like there are people that know more about bourbon than me that aren't entrepreneurs, that are just drinkers. So you have to let them know you have to give them the information and then let their palate take control after that.
I get it. Like I think all that when you talk about all the spirits that wine, the wine, bourbon, the cognac, when all the descriptions of what's in it, I love that culture in the way, but I just can't taste it. It's like I always say I have an 8-year-old palate, so I don't know. I'm like I don't know what's good. I don't know what's good and bad.
We'll have to get you on this Majesty, man. If you smoke cigars or anything like that?
Nah, I don't.
See, if you smoke cigars, then you don't smoke cigars. No. So what do you do? You just clean living all the way around, right?
I'm not gonna say that, and we're not gonna say what I do on my show, but I have.
You're like, hold up, who's interviewing who now, right?
Yeah, right. You're not gonna cancel my show telling my business, but no. But I have had bourbon. I do enjoy bourbon. I just can't tell you, hey, this one is this level. I'm not. That's all I'm saying.
Right,
I enjoy it, but I have seen your bottles and things you're putting out, and I think it is very well done. I love the look and everything, and it definitely is going to do well. So before we get out of here,
the concept for I'm just gonna say the concept for the label and everything was something that I literally drew on a large piece of paper and pitched it to the crew, and it's like we need to come out real clean. It doesn't need to be cartoonish. Mm-hmm. Like some of the bourbons that are out there, it makes it look like some good old boy stuff, which we didn't want to do. We wanted to be a little bit more streamlined and look a little bit more sophisticated, and then have the taste to follow that up. And once you taste it, you'll understand why we wanted to take that particular path.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it. I want to give you a chance to give any final words to our listeners, anything that you want to say, anything we might not have been able to cover that you want to make sure people know about you and your brand.
Well, I just need everybody to go to MajestyBourbon.com. Check out our website there. The website will have the locations in which we are located at this particular point. You can hit us on Instagram at Majesty Bourbon. Also on Facebook, be sure you go and like the page. And also check out the upcoming tasting events that we're going to be having. We do have a tasting event coming up in March, and we're going to have tasting events throughout the year. So definitely register for those. The cost is very, very small. And we want people to come out and really engage us and meet us so we can talk to you about what we're doing and get people vested, in this particular endeavor, because, if we succeed, it's going to breed more opportunity for other people who have the passion to be able to do it as well. And we'd love to be able to help people do that.
Absolutely. When you go out, I'm going to challenge those who are listening. When you go out and buy your Majesty Bourbon, make sure you take a picture of it, put it on your social media, and just start sharing the word, man. Just let people know it's out there. This is an opportunity to go ahead and help someone else's business grow and improve our community and our business community as well. So, Larue,
definitely, man. Because if we win, man, everybody wins, man. I'm telling you, because we will pay it forward. We will pay it forward.
We got to start believing that and acting on that. So, listen, man, I appreciate you. I wish you and your team all the best. I'm definitely excited about what you all are doing. I wish you the best on that and everything else that you are doing, man. We'll talk to you real soon.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Passionpreneur Podcast. If you liked it, tell someone else about it. Go ahead and share it out. And also make sure you click that subscribe button and follow us and listen to every week's episode. I am your host, Ryan C. Greene. You can reach me at www.ryancgreene.com. Follow me on all social media at Raji Speaks. I look forward to working with you, talking to you soon. And just remember, if the best part about going to work is getting off of work, it's time to become a passionpreneur.